Holy geez, what a good game to return on. Spider-Man, PS4. I've been kind of a little burnt out. Apologies for my absence, but I knew I would come back to talk about something like this because I was, as you probably know, this was my most anticipated game of the year, just because I'm such a big fan of Spider-Man. And it's out. I played the hell out of it, and I do love it. I really do. Shamelessly, dude. I won't get into spoilers. I'll tell you guys why I like it so much first, and then halfway in the video I'll get into spoilers. But first off, what I really like about it is that it makes you feel like Spider-Man. No, I'm just kidding. But not to discount that point, what I do want to point out is that the game, from many aspects, from the rush of wind to the swell of the music as you do an activity, to a bunch of other things, those things are all tailored to specifically make you really, really get a good Spider-Man experience. Other games have tried, other games have succeeded. This one has done it the best. Even down to the point that the voice actor for Spider-Man actually recorded 2 separate lines of dialogue for every single bit. So he either sounds like he's straining himself while he's swinging, or if he's on the ground talking on the phone. Shit like that makes a difference for me as someone who just loves the superhero stuff and has been enjoying Spider-Man everything since I was 5 or 6 years old. This game nails it for me. Is the swinging exactly like how I wanted it to be from Spider-Man 2? No. Is it as fun and thrilling? Yeah. Does it give me an emotional rush when I do it? Do I actually get that Spider-Man satisfaction? Hell yeah. I think the game's only shortcomings is the fact that the map is just filled with stuff to check off in boxes. I get why some people think that that's really not that good, but I think everything else around the game, from the presentation to the story, to the combat, to the traversal, and just all the little bits of lore and the detail of the world, totally softens that blow. The rest of the game, every encounter, every story moment, every QTE, I loved from beginning to end. I'm also pleased to confirm that the game did make me cry twice. That sounds stupid to some of you if you're new. If you've been watching me for a long time, you get what I mean. It's not like a baby cry. It's like your eyes well up because you feel the excitement of seeing the thing you've loved forever on screen, how you've always imagined it. And this did it. From a story standpoint, more than I expected. I expected to have fun playing the game, punching bad guys, swinging around. Love Spider-Man. I didn't expect this game to really, really hone in on telling a Spider-Man story. This seems to be the main objective from the people who made the game, is that they wanted to tell a Spider-Man story, and it shows, and it really, really works. I was very surprised, just in the sense of I'm used to video game stories. I'm also used to superhero video game stories being fine, having cool moments, but not existing as a very good storytelling thing of that character. This for me is a 100% good Peter Parker story. The people making this wanted to tell a story. They wanted to explore a side of Peter Parker while building a new, interesting Spider-Man world with new takes on villains and takes on the state of the world. Obviously, it goes without saying, one of the best things this game did was start out with Spider-Man already being experienced. This is a Spider-Man in a world where things have already happened. Obviously not spoiling anything, that the Avengers Tower is there. Some of Spider-Man's villains have already come and gone. The game acknowledges that, and it makes it interesting. Because it's different from a comic where you know all of the shit that happened. In this, you kind of only hear about it, and it's more of a legend because you don't know how it went down. So your mind is kind of going crazy trying to fill in the blanks. I'll get more to that when I talk about spoilers. But there were a couple of moments here that really got to me. Really, really made me smile, really made me feel like that's an excellent Spider-Man moment, or that's perfect Mary Jane, stuff like that. I didn't expect the game to nail so good, and I'm really pleased. I'm kind of exhausted. I've been playing this nonstop. I've been playing Tomb Raider nonstop, so excuse me if it's harder for me to form into words why I think it works. Because some stuff it does, I'll be completely honest, as someone who's played every Spider-Man game, cover to cover, it does a lot of stuff that the other Spider-Man games have done. Just the little touches make it better. Aerial combat feels very much like aerial combat in other games. There are points in this game where you're fighting enemies in the air, and it feels like Web of Shadows. The stealth sequences of Spider-Man creeping around on the ceiling and stuff, pretty simple, pretty much like other Spider-Man games, just highly polished. But I think the combat, more than anything, like once you really get going, once you upgrade Spider-Man enough, and once you really get a feel for all the enemy types and stop getting your ass kicked, because it can be challenging at times, which I appreciated, but once you really get into it, then that's when some of the aspects of the game really shine. I think it's the swinging, the presentation, the combat, and really the story that make it, I think, like a must play if you really, really love Spider-Man. Even if you don't, if you're a casual fan, I think you're gonna have a great time. Part of what I've been enjoying from this game is just like the culture and the experience around it, like with people just being excited about the game. You see people going and getting PlayStation 4s just because the game looks so cool. People are sharing, the photo mode is fucking amazing, and people are sharing all these cool photos and selfies of Spider-Man. Everyone has a different favorite suit and costume. I love stuff like that, and it's just nice to see everybody pumped about Spider-Man. Also, I can't wait to see where it goes next. But now, I guess, I really can't say anything more interesting. I can't add more to the conversation without going into spoilers. So please, if you can play the game, or if you can even watch the whole thing on YouTube if you don't have a PlayStation 4, please do, because the surprises are worth experiencing. I'm always a strong proponent of that, but here, definitely if you're a Spider-Man fan. But go away, come back. Now we're going to talk about spoilers. I didn't mean to say go away, that's mean. But now I'm going to talk about spoilers. Holy fuck. Shit. So, I guess right into it, what got me really emotional was the intro. The intro is incredible. Peak Spider-Man in his apartment. You get all these little nods to the universe, his lore, stuff like that. The music's playing, it's cool. He puts the mask on. Little things like that. Perfect. Made me well up a little. I'm like, that's awesome. It's just Spider-Man. It's so cool. But the other thing that really got to me that I really didn't expect was the last scene with Aunt May. Holy shit, they nailed it. And when she revealed to him that she knew he was Spider-Man, I just immediately, look at me, I'm talking. Just a perfect moment, a really well-earned moment. Speaking of earned moments, I think the end confrontation with Doc Ock was incredible because the build really nailed it. It started to feel like it picked up a little quickly. You knew where it was gonna go, kind of, but it went down in a way that was a little different. And the confrontation at the end was so emotional because they built him up so much as such an important figure to Peter. And that has always been kind of a staple with some of Spider-Man's villains is like, number one, like he has a hand in the creation of a lot of his villains. But on the other hand, those villains often at one point are a mentor or a figure of some sort or a peer of Peter's. And Otto Octavius worked out perfectly because they built it up throughout it. They're working together. You see how brilliant Otto is. You see how well they work together. You see that, things are going to go south. It's heavily foreshadowed, but you don't know if it's actually going to go down in this game. I mean, I didn't, because I didn't look at anything going in. But it really hammers it home because you get to know Otto pretty well because it becomes like a habitual thing where like at the end of every day, you have to go to work and you go with Otto and you develop this relationship. And then even the parts of the game where your guys are separate, you're getting phone calls from him, you're getting voicemails from him, building up this character where after Peter gets off the phone with him, you can tell how important he is to Peter. He is someone that he respects, it's someone he looks up to, and it's someone that he puts a lot of his hopes onto, because Otto at a point seemed like an aspirational figure to Peter and just to, I guess, the world of science or whatever. And that was really great. And it's gonna bite him in the ass, especially as you're helping Otto invent these things that are eventually going to be to his detriment. And yet you have to go along with it. And then by the end, the final confrontation where Otto is defeated and Peter is like basically crying, like he's in tears because of what happened to this man. It just pays off so well. I took a really long time to get there. I apologize. But that was probably my favorite aspect of the game. But it's interesting. It's a little different. The after credit scene is also a little different. What is going on there? I love this shit. I find Norman Osborn to be one of the more interesting characters in the game because I don't know. Like I wasn't convinced he was as dastardly as some people were saying he was. But then by the end, I don't know how I feel because he's like essentially keeping Harry captive, which was a really nice twist, especially because the symbiote, which leads me to ask the question, Is the symbiote in this universe already? Did Spider-Man already face off with Venom? Is the symbiote now separated from an Eddie Brock or so? I also just like the way they approached a lot of these characters. Like, just I wish they didn't show that whole raft showdown at E3, because holy shit, from that point to like the next 4 hours or so to the end of the game, incredible. Just the way they portray all these characters, these villains, the way they mesh together, the way you as Spider-Man have to battle them. Really fun, very classic but very fun boss battles. I was into all of it so much. And then of course, again, the emotional showdown with Doc Ock at the end, for me, really sealed the deal. I also was hoping that they would do a little bit more in terms of like bringing in a whole universe. Like, I want to know more. I have more questions about the Avengers and Daredevil and Luke Cage and all these things that apparently exist in this universe. I hate to say it, it's one of the few times, like, I know it's a corporation, but like, I'm excited that this game is selling so much, because we're probably gonna get more. But thank you for listening to me ramble about this stuff. I love coming here, and I'm happy to come here again, because I just get to talk about the stuff I like with you guys. So thanks for humoring me and listening to me for a really long time. But I will see you guys soon, I promise. Again, thanks for talking to me. I'm curious to see what you guys are saying in the comments and stuff. Tweet me. I wanna know what you're thinking about Spider-Man. Seriously. If you enjoyed this, clicking the like button helps me out. But as always, I'm Jake Baldino. You should subscribe, because video games.